Welcome to Bloomers in the Garden. I'm Len Schroeder.
And I'm Julio Zamora.
In our first segment, Weeds Gone Wild. This spring, weeds are worse than I've seen in years. We'll give you some tools to get back on top of things.
It's the season to sharpen up your horticulture vocabulary. We spew a lot of jargon at the garden center. We're going to define some of the most confusing gardening terms in our second segment.
Elaine called the Bloomers in the Garden hotline and asked for help with her lawn, but also has 2 pest problems. Listen in during our third segment.
And call the hotline and put us on a case of disappearing garlic. We solved the case in our fourth segment.
Have you been tempted to transplant the herb plants from the produce aisle in your grocery store? Don't do it. Peter called the Bloomers in the Garden hotline, and he just can't seem to get his herbs to grow. Here are solutions in our final segment.
So stay tuned, and we'll be right back in the garden right after these messages. Bloomers in the Garden is brought to you each week by Bloomers Home and Garden Center. Bloomers is an award-winning garden center just 20 minutes from Philadelphia. Bloomers has been providing expert advice turning brown thumbs green for over 30 years. At Bloomers, we want you to ask us every question, even if you think it's silly. We share information in a friendly, non-judgmental way that is meant to teach and spread the joy of gardening. Visit Bloomers Home and Garden Center in Washington Township, Gloucester County. For directions, go to bloomers.com, and we'll see you in the garden.
Hi, this is Len Schroeder from Bloomers in the Garden. Do you have a landscape, garden, or plant question? If so, call or text us using the Bloomers in the Garden hotline. Dial 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. Don't be shy. We want to hear from you. Call or text us and let us know what problems you're facing. Let us know how we're doing. Call or text 609-685-1880. If we use your comment on the air, we'll send you a free Bloomers t-shirt. Call or text us at 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. And we'll see you in the garden. Fertilum's Azalea and Evergreen Food plus Systemic Insecticide 915-3 contains 5 micronutrients which are designed for azaleas and evergreens to provide the proper nutrients and producing stunning green leaves and essential new growth while protecting the plant from damaging insects for up to 8 weeks. Fertilum's Azalea and Evergreen Food contains 9% nitrogen for green growth, building bigger stems and leaves, 15% phosphorus for root growth and increased flower production, 13% potash to promote vigorous growth so plants are better able to resist disease and cold. The micronutrients are the icing on the cake to enhance further growth, strengthen, and beautify color. Tired of seeing your plants prematurely drop their leaves, the flowers disappear? Fertilum's Azalea Evergreen Food plus Systemic Insecticide 915-13 contains an easy-to-apply insecticide that keeps your azaleas and evergreens looking great all year long. Those hungry insects do not have a chance. Apply in spring before bud sprout and continue throughout the season as indicated on the label growing guide. Fertilum's Azalea and Evergreen Food plus Systemic Insecticide 915-13 with micronutrients is a must for the passionate azalea and evergreen grower to help produce that beautiful abundance of color and fantastic fragrance everyone will love. So next time you visit your favorite garden center, pick up Fertilum's Azalea and Evergreen Food plus Systemic and expect to have the best looking shrubs in the neighborhood. You're listening to Bloomers in the Garden Radio. Listen anytime through your favorite podcast provider or hear us on the radio each weekend. Every Saturday morning, Bloomers in the Garden Radio is heard in Philadelphia and throughout the whole Delaware Valley, first at 8 a.m. on Talk 860 WWDB and again at 9 a.m. on AM 800 WTMR. On Sunday at 8 a.m., we can be heard through the New York tri-state area on Classic Oldies 1250 AM WMTR. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the garden. Welcome back to Bloomers in the Garden. Julio, I cannot believe the amount of weeds growing everywhere.
Oh, I know.
Driveway cracks,
Crazy.
Lawns, any open soil is covered with weeds.
Oh, yeah.
The mild winter, you know, it was so mild that it didn't kill off some of the plants that are normally annuals, and they are just coming back, so they're not dying off.
No, they're not.
Oh,
crazy,
my
isn't
gosh.
it?
You better, everybody out there listening, you better be ready. it is going to be a battle all year with
right.
weeds. I've never seen it like this. And especially I was out my own lawn.
Oh, yeah.
My own lawn, it's dotted with dandelions.
Is it? Wow.
And it's dotted with the dandelions that have already flowered
already,
pollinated, and have blown away. Everybody likes blowing those dandelions. Kid, cut it out. You're ruining my. You're spreading weeds everywhere. Stop it.
That's right.
Anyway, but I was amazed to see just in my own yard. But I went down and visited a nursery, and I went past an empty lot, filled with dandelions that had already pollinated and were spreading their seeds everywhere already.
Right.
All right. Now, Julio, this is a slight intervention.
Intervention, yes.
Julio has a zoysia lawn.
Yes, I do. I kind of like it now.
Do you like it now?
Yeah, especially when all those weeds that you're talking about.
Well, no. He's covering everyone. He's covering. Julio's lawn has, what do you think? Is your grass greening up finally?
What grass?
Is yours, well, let's just say, is your zoysia greening up yet?
It's starting to.
Yeah,
it's light green.
And where all of your other weeds.
My other weeds,
You have a lot of weeds, you said.
A lot of weeds, yeah. That's the area that I don't have zoysia grass.
Oh, so it's not in your zoysia?
No.
Oh, okay. Not even like wild onions?
Oh, they are there.
Oh.
Yeah, they're all over my zoysia.
You're trying to cover it.
Yeah, right.
You have the best lawn ever, Julio.
Oh, I know I do.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Zoysia grass is tough. I don't know. Like I said, that door-to-door salesman in Pittman said, you can have the best lawn if you do this.
And my neighbors,
sure, I'll take some.
I'll take them all.
Yeah, all your neighbors have it. Now
That's right.
their lawns don't get green until it's almost June.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to weeds. If there's one thing that I can say, and I've talked to my son Carl about this, I said, look, around the garden center, I don't want weeds. I want, to be the inspiration for anybody who visits Bloomers to say, wow,
weedless.
Look at that.
Wow.
And that the first thing that I see are the weeds.
Yeah, as soon as you walk in.
There's weeds in the brick. There's weeds in the nursery. What's going on?
In the front, in the back.
I said, Carl, you got to spray the weeds and control the weeds before they go into flower.
Yeah.
If they go into flower, then they end up pollinating. It's a biblical thing.
That's
so
right. Production.
It says, bears fruit and brings forth sometimes 100-fold, sometimes 60, and sometimes 30 times the actual plant. So think about this. You have that weed. You have one weed.
One weed, yeah.
One. And then it goes to seed, and then that seed spreads everywhere, sometimes 100-fold.
Can you imagine?
I do. I see it.
Yeah, I know.
I see it. I see it in my own yard.
In your yard. Yeah.
So you need to take care of it before it goes into flower.
Right.
And that it's so important because then you're spreading all these weed seeds, not only at your house, but your neighbor's house, and then the guy who doesn't take care of his lawn.
None.
And that guy, he's going to have a new crop of weeds just to blow back on your lawn. So you need to take care of it, and it's the sidewalk cracks, and it's the fence lines, and it's it is bad. So Julio, let's start with the easy one.
The sidewalk?
Sidewalks. I've got sidewalk cracks and there's weeds growing. I've got a little crack in my driveway, and that all of a sudden now it's like, it looks like a stripe of green weeds.
Yeah, I got that at home.
So what should I use?
You want to use, Bonide has a great product called Cleanup.
Okay.
And it's got glyphosate in it, which is the Roundup kind of thing.
Right.
And you want to spray that and on those little cracks, all right?
Right.
And this product is great.
And again, the key is that you don't want just regular Roundup or Cleanup.
No, you don't.
Okay. It's called Cleanup 365.
Wow.
What does that mean, Julio?
It's going to take care of those weeds totally.
Up to a year.
Up to a year, yeah.
So
totally
it'll kill the weeds that are there, okay, and it will prevent weeds from coming. And that's where you want cleanup 365. And that 365 number is, of course, how many days are there in a year? Right. 365 days in a year. So it'll control them for an entire year. Great product, something that I would suggest on fence lines, driveways, sidewalks, yeah. Anywhere that you have them that aren't in, say, your landscape bed. I honestly have a hard time necessarily suggesting it for your landscape bed, because the worst thing about when you go and you put a weed control, and we're going to get into jargon words, a non-selective weed control. That means it doesn't indiscriminate of what it kills.
Kills everything.
That you can have like a wind gust, and all of a sudden it blows over your prize peonies, and all of a sudden that they now are dying because you blew.
Yeah.
But still, regular landscape beds, you should use the regular cleanup product, not the 365. That in itself will control what's there, but it won't prevent anything. Now, your lawn, I have not put down my crabgrass control.
Oh, you haven't?
Don't shame me.
Oh, my. No wonder your grass looks terrible.
Yeah, well, I only see it at night most of the time, so I'm not looking. Anyway, right. But again, it's the shoemaker syndrome, okay? I just don't have the time. I can't even hire bloomers people to cut my own grass. I have to have a lawn service cut my grass. Isn't that terrible?
Doesn't work.
Carl, are you listening out there? Have your nursery guys cut my grass. I can save some money each month.
That's right.
Anyway, but my grass has all of these weeds in it. And I'm going to use BioAdvance 5-in-1. BioAdvance is Bayer is the company that everybody recognizes, the blue bottle or the blue bag, and that BioAdvance purchased that company a few years back. So you may ask for Bayer still, but it's actually BioAdvance. So I think that BioAdvance bought their lawn division or something along those lines. It's a French chemical company, but it still has really good products and good technology.
Nice.
Now here's why I like it. It will prevent crabgrass, okay, and there's a fertilizer in it. Nice. It will kill broadleaf weeds.
Good.
Okay, up to 6 months.
Wow.
It will also control existing crabgrass.
Look at that.
And I tell you, that's all of it. Does it all in one bag. And because I'm late with getting it down, I probably have crabgrass starting to germinate. That even if I use the Jonathan Green product we like so well, the Very Green with the crabgrass control, that has dimension to control it in the third leaf stage. The way that the temperatures have been, I think I'm beyond third leaf stage on crabgrass. Yeah. This is what I would use. Again, it's one bag and you're done. It's not like I've got to put down the fertilizer, got to put down the crabgrass control, got to put down the broadleaf control. Now, I got to say, and Julio, we talk about this all the time, and we're going to talk about it in the segment coming up. The granular weed controls are not as effective as a liquid. The whole key is you have to get it to stick to the leaf.
That's it.
And the granular part bounces off sometimes.
Jumps.
Now, if you're looking for another lawn organic, corn gluten,
it's okay.
Yeah, if you have success with it, go for it.
Yeah, that's it.
If you can't tell by my inflection, I'm not choking like I did a couple weeks ago. I'm just,
we're so glad of that.
Don't buy it.
Don't buy it.
I don't.
It doesn't do what it's supposed to.
I would love to hear somebody give me a testimonial on how great corn gluten is.
Yeah.
Other than it being organic and that it is supposed to control and prevent weeds. You know that's what's in dog food?
Oh, yeah?
Corn gluten, the crummy ones.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So anyway, if you want to use an organic, non-selective, like instead of using a cleanup, which is glyphosate, you can use a product that's called Burnout. Only problem is a lot of those types of products will kill the top only, and it uses fatty acids to kill the top. The root's still alive, and it ends up growing back. So you need to control down to the root. Again, if organic, that's your choice.
Yeah.
And then there's always your hands. Pull the weeds, but you got to pull the root. Okay. Hoe. I had Carl get a hoe the other day, and he was all of the where our driveway at Bloomers meets the sidewalk. There are weeds there, and one of the guys used a hoe and went old school.
That's
Looks great.
Looks good.
Looks great. Yeah. Jack,
Jack,
we
good
mentioned
job.
your name. He's a new guy at Bloomers, and he did a good job out front.
Yeah, listen to us, Jack.
So anyway, all right, Julio, you gonna do anything about your weeds?
Oh yes, I'm going to buy this clean
up
365. I got plenty of weeds on my cracks of my you name it, sidewalk, my garage. It's all
right.
It's all over.
And that's it. The good
It's all
advice.
over. It is
good advice. But everybody, be ready because it's not going to just stop now.
No, it's
because
not.
all of those seeds that are blowing around from all those dandelions that have just flowered and seeded, they're going to grow again.
That's right. Can I say something?
No. Go ahead. Go ahead.
By the way, it's part of gardening, right?
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
So you got to, it's good for you.
I got
What?
exercise, right?
Yeah.
And especially for, seniors getting out there and doing stuff. And it's like a new piece of gym equipment.
That's right.
Yeah. Hey, look, I got weeds. I can work out.
There you go.
Anyway, it's all about how you think about it.
Yeah, that's right.
All right. We'll be back in the garden right after this. Hi, this is Len Schroeder from Bloomers in the Garden. Do you have a landscape, garden, or plant question? If so, call or text us using the Bloomers in the Garden hotline. Dial 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. Don't be shy. We want to hear from you. Call or text us and let us know what problems you're facing. Let us know how we're doing. Call or text 609-685-1880. If we use your comment on the air, we'll send you a free Bloomers t-shirt. Call or text us at 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. And we'll see you in the garden.
Are you looking forward to a spring of vibrancy while using the best organically approved growing media for your annuals and vegetables? Coast of Maine's Sprout Island Organic Seed Starter has been created to set a diverse culture ideal for germinating seeds and root cuttings. Created using the best ancient composting techniques and new age mixing devices, Sprout Island Organic Seed Starter gently combines kelp meal, worm castings, mycorrhiza, perlite, and sustainably harvested peat moss, establishing the most desirable setting to enhance new plant growth. Coast of Maine's Sprout Island Organic Seed Starter is available at these local retailers, or visit www.coastofmaine.com to locate one near you.
Pickering Valley Feed and Farm, Exton, PA. Ashcombs Farm and Greenhouses, Mechanicsburg, PA. Sickles, Little Silver, New Jersey. Your next houseplant is waiting for you in Bloomers Home and Garden Center's greenhouse. Bloomers recognizes that houseplant choices are as important to your interior decorating as the fabric on your couch. The right plant, paired with the perfect container, can bring a dynamic change to your home. A houseplant brings life to your world and connects your home's interior to the greater outdoors. Even a small succulent placed on your coffee table has a way of connecting your living room to the Amazon rainforest. How about an air plant in your kitchen? Looking for an indoor flowering plant to add color to your plant palette? Bloomers has a large revolving assortment of flowering beauties. From aglaonemas to ZZ plants, Bloomers Greenhouse is stocked with your next favorite indoor plant. Bloomers carries a large selection of pottery and containers to match your home's decor and make any of your plants more beautiful. Bloomers experts can help you care for your plants and have the fertilizer, insecticides, leaf shine, and specialty soils you need to grow healthy and happy indoor plants. Visit Bloomers Home and Garden Center's greenhouse and make every room in your home a living room. Visit bloomers.com for more information. That's bloomers.com, and we'll see you in the garden. You're listening to Bloomers in the Garden Radio. Listen anytime through your favorite podcast provider or hear us on the radio each weekend. Every Saturday morning, Bloomers in the Garden Radio is heard in Philadelphia and throughout the whole Delaware Valley, first at 8 a.m. on Talk 860 WWDB and again at 9 a.m. on AM 800 WTMR. On Sunday at 8 a.m., we can be heard through the New York tri-state area on Classic Oldies, 1250 a.m. WMTR. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the garden.
Welcome back to Bloomers in the Garden. Conifer, evergreen, deciduous, broadleafed evergreen, annual, perennial, pre-emergent, post-emergent. Common name, botanical name, Latin name. Well, let us make sense of some terms that are easily misunderstood, huh, Len?
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, my goodness.
Absolutely.
Really?
Absolutely. I mean, all right. We'll start with it's like when we say, oh, it's a woody plant.
Yeah,
It's a woody.
Yeah, it's a woody plant.
That was a car in the 60s, the Beach Boys sung about. No, it wasn't.
Yeah.
So a woody plant is a plant where it has bark and stems where it will either rebloom or it can be an evergreen, and that where its stems have wood. There are some plants, like even hydrangea is a woody plant, but it also can be where hydrangeas, that some of those stems kind of go dry and collapse, so it needs to be cleaned up now and then. But woody is different in that we're going to talk about a woody plant versus a perennial in just a little bit. Give me something, Julio.
Yeah, an annual. Well, we used to get people saying, I want an annual, and I want it to come back.
And then they go to the perennial section saying, are these all annuals? And it's like, no, they're perennials. Well, this is what I want. And they're confused.
They are confused.
Annually once.
Once. It only come out. It only come out once.
My advice when it comes to this, where again, annuals are once.
Once.
One and done. You get 1 year it's actually one season out of it. And I guess it's actually two, because you get spring and three. Yeah. Spring, summer, fall. Yep. So like a bedding plant, like impatiens, they are an annual. Begonias are an annual. Geraniums are an annual. And that where... Impatiens. Well, we're going to talk about... So an impatient, Julio... let me finish. All right, so annuals, one.
One, yeah.
Perennials mean they come back, and these are... Here's another confusing... Herbaceous.
Herbaceous, yeah. Huh? Herbaceous perennial.
What is herbaceous?
Herbaceous means that they're like it's a tender. It's not woody. It's tender.
Right. And that it comes back usually from the root, and that it generally doesn't come back from any stems, because then it would be a woody.
That's right.
So again, a perennial comes back from the ground or from its growth in its root system, and it comes back up. Now, to confuse things, we have things in the perennial department like foxglove.
Foxgloves, yeah.
Foxglove, also digitalis. Okay. That is a biannual. Yeah, you just like to keep things confused. That means it will grow twice, 2 seasons. Yep. So you'll get it to grow the first year, and then you'll get it to come back the second year. And then it's... didn't pay its rent, it's going to die. So it doesn't come back like a regular perennial does. And there are some perennials that are actually biannuals. Are you confused yet? I know Aaron's looking confused. He's like, what the heck? Why is it a perennial? It's not a perennial. It's a biannual. But at least we tell people. I mean, there's some places that sell them as perennials. Oh, they'll come back every year.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, oh, no, they won't. Yeah. All right. Julio, question. If I plant impatiens, they do really good and they spread.
Right.
And then they die and they turn to that like goop after they get their first frost. And I clean them up and I throw them away. And all of a sudden I see that I have impatiens growing.
Right.
And they're growing actually from the seed.
That's correct.
Does that mean that they're a perennial?
No.
That's right.
It's an annual still.
It's an annual that actually the seeds from it have dropped and it's receding.
It's receding.
Kind of like how crabgrass works.
That's right.
So if you have an annual that does that, and it could be different types, it could be petunias, and it could be all different types of annuals that will drop their seed and they'll regrow from their seed. It's, I have some people that like pride themselves. Like, I haven't planted them in years because they keep coming back. I don't know if it's because it hurts me financially or if it's just, it's just that they're just a little arrogant about it. A little too much. It's like, all right,
stop.
That's great. That's great. That's what you're relying on? Anyway, that it's just coming back year after year, the same plant. And hey, they're just like crabgrass where it dies in the fall and drops its seed and then it comes back. And that's why you use crabgrass manure. That's another topic. So
That's right.
All right. Evergreen versus deciduous. And that we can add in that evergreen category, there's broadleafed evergreens, there's conifers, and there is semi-evergreens.
Wow.
Yeah.
Confusing now, isn't it?
Yeah. So like I'll put those semi-evergreens like in the confusing section with biannuals and reseeding perennials. So anyway, so the confusing side, semi-evergreen. So Julio, let's go through evergreen versus deciduous.
Right.
So evergreen stays
green
with foliage on it
all the time.
All the time.
That's correct.
That's right. It doesn't lose
nothing.
all of its foliage. But it can lose like the inside leaves, like azaleas, for instance, sheds out. Yep. Everything's going to drop its leaves, drops its needles. Some do it in a certain way. Like the deciduous plant loses them all, and they become bare.
Totally. Yeah.
And they end up being woody stems.
Yeah, that's right.
Are you with me, everybody? So deciduous lose their leaves.
That's correct.
Trees, deciduous. Wow. Shrubs are deciduous. But then there are evergreens, like, for instance, a broadleafed evergreen, like an azalea, like a rhododendron. Okay. And then there are conifers, like, say, Hinoki cypress or a, let's go with a mugo pine, any spruces.
Right.
That those are conifers. Now, Julio, I knew that you did some research on conifers.
Right.
Lay it on me.
All right. Now, there are some conifers like junipers that don't have the same structure of the cones as, let's say, a pine.
Right.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. Some of them, they look like berries. Okay.
That's true.
And
that's true.
It's
berry
like a waxy,
juniper. Like think about at Christmas time, you use the blue juniper with those berries on it.
That's right.
Awesome.
And so that it's like a waxy little thing, protects the actual
a berry.
Berry. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And juniper berry. What do they cook something with juniper berry?
Yeah, they do, don't they?
Oh, you know what it is?
What?
It's when you go. Anybody Irish here? it's when it's cat when you cook it with cabbage. Come on, Julio, help me.
Oh gosh,
corned beef. I think it's the spices have juniper berry.
Oh yeah, the little. Boy.
The cooking show is after this one. Anyway, that again, but it has some type of fruiting structure.
It does,
and then again, they call it a conifer. Just to confuse you more.
Yeah, that's it.
And where, again, a conifer is going to be almost anything that's not a broadleafed evergreen. Pretty much?
Yeah.
Okay. And I don't want to. Horticultural sparring.
Right.
The challenges are off. Okay.
There you go.
It's going to be another show. If anybody wants to call in and be professor, we're not playing. All right. This is step one. This is 101 conifers. Okay. And again, the semi-evergreens, there's some things like abelia, where in mild winters they keep their leaves.
Oh, yeah.
Photinia.
Right. Photinia.
Right.
Yeah.
And it also depends on, a lot of these plants will grow in zone 2, which is think of Canada, for coldest spots of Canada, but they're deciduous. Where here in our area, in anywhere in the Northeast, Delaware Valley, tri-state area up in New York, that they're evergreen.
Oh yeah,
or semi-evergreen. Right. So again, it depends on the winter, and they still survive and they do great.
Yeah.
But sometimes don't think that it's dead because it lost its leaves. It just went through a tough winter, and it's just going to drop those leaves, and new ones are going to come out.
Yeah.
New ones are going to come out.
I got a couple for you.
All right, I'm ready.
Okay, larch.
Larch. That's a good one.
Here's another one.
That's one.
Dawn
Larch. It is a deciduous conifer.
There you go.
And it's the only deciduous conifer that's really out there. That's a good one, Julio.
Yeah,
Wow.
it is, yeah.
Wow.
I'll give you another
take
one.
a nap.
I know. Let me give you another one.
I'm ready.
Dawn redwood.
A dawn redwood.
Yeah.
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 What do you think?
Yeah. I think that
one too.
it's destroying my dawn redwood. It's destroying my driveway right now. But other than that, that's another one. Beautiful tree, by the way. Very
Beautiful.
soft.
Yeah, I like that
ferny foliage, even though that it's a conifer. And not all conifers are sticky.
No.
Like they don't, like you put your hand in it and it's like,
Sappy.
ouch, I need to put my gloves on.
Yeah,
So,
right.
all right, here you go.
Go ahead.
Is a lilac a tree?
Oh, boy. Is that a trick question or what?
Yeah.
It is.
Is it
Well,
lilac a tree?
It can be.
Maybe when it gets over 10 feet.
That's right.
There's some plants that when they're small, they look like a shrub, but they grow into trees. And lilacs are one of those things. There's a number of them.
Right.
Graft. Not, I don't mean what. There's this political show on the other side, and this is what they would say. Not like graft, like the Biden family. Julio.
All right.
They over there, they may have us on as a guest.
I think they heard us.
Anyway, what is a graft?
A graft is when, let's say, for instance, a rose is grafted into that little bulb at the bottom. The actual stalk of it is grafted into that.
Okay, so it's a different root system
at the bottom
than the top.
That's correct.
And that what happens is that they choose a more vigorous root system that's going to grow and be more productive and actually provide more sustenance for the
plant.
Grafted part on top. Japanese maples, all grafted.
Yeah,
a lot of the conifers, all grafted. If you look at a Japanese maple, you'll see where there's you'll see the root, and you'll see that, like Julio's talking about, it's like a little knot, kind of like a ball, where it's connected and grown and swelled. And then there's a section where it's a different color than the section that's above it. So you have root, you have the next section, which again is a stem. And you know what that's called?
A standard.
It's a failed GM car.
Wow, you're kidding.
Come on.
Failed GM
It's
car.
a scion.
Oh, scion, yes.
That's what a scion is. Scion is the trunk, basically, between the root system and the actual hybrid part of the thing.
That's awesome.
Is
That's
everyone
amazing.
confused? All right. Send your hat mail to Julio Zamora, care of Bloomers in the Garden. Anyway.
It's pretty awesome.
But a graft, it's really, it's science.
It's science.
It's science, everybody. It is science. It is amazing. Like, you go to a tree and it's like, that's $200. And but then you think about it, it's like, well, wait a minute. This little thing was grafted onto a different rootstock, and then it was grafted with the hybrid on top of it. It was grown for 15 years. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
That's,
it is.
That's about right.
All right, let's get out of the nursery. Pre-emergent versus post-emergent. What does that mean?
Pre is before it emerges, and post is after it emerges.
And what are we talking about?
We're talking about prevention. Preventing. Are you talking about the
Weeds.
Weeds, yeah.
We're talking about basically weeds.
So you're
even
adding
in
a-
plants. I mean, where again a weed control, a pre-emergent, like a crabgrass control, like
preventer.
Julio said, is pre-emergent. And then, like we talked about in our segment before, about post-emergent, after the weed is up and growing, you have to use a post-emergent. So after, so pre and post. You got that right, Julio. This is something that drives me insane.
Oh, I know it does. You always talk about it.
Native plants versus hybrid plants. It's nice. Native plants are just one step away from being weeds. Okay?
That's right.
There's no hybrid. There's no... I like what Dr. Armitage called nativars.
Yes.
So they take a native plant and they just make different breeding so that it flowers more, or it looks nicer, or it's prettier. It's modified so that it looks nice, but it's a native plant as opposed to like something that was brought in from China. that is like invasive, or like, for instance, Bradford pear. Oh my gosh, that's invasive. Anybody have a Bradford pear, and then all of a sudden there's a grove of them somewhere?
Sure.
Very invasive. So native plants and nativars, I find can be lumped in the same thing. And I know it's not horticulturally correct, but it's still taking a native plant and buying a hybrid, to me, is still sticking to the native Bible. Okay?
Right.
Like the Bible, it's open to interpretation.
It is.
So anyway, so natives are like the original plant as it was found the first time.
Right.
No hybrid, no.
The original.
But I just can't stick with that.
Yeah.
The science behind creating better plants and such, that's where, again, nativars.
A lot of those native plants are like 6 foot, 7 foot tall.
Oh, I know.
You ever see them?
I know.
Wow.
It's maintenance.
Yeah.
What is the most confusing term that we use? Metazoa glyptostroboides.
Yeah, right.
No? You speak Spanish.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of Latin in there.
Latin there. It's,
the botanical names of plants, and we apologize that sometimes it makes us feel good. Acer palmate dissectum crimson queen, okay, which is a crimson queen Japanese maple. Let's see, Pinus strobus pendula.
Right.
That's a weeping white pine.
White pine, yeah.
And we were talking the other day how hosta is a common name, okay, but it's botanical name too. Hosta is hosta.
Hosta, yeah.
But in the area, some areas, like these folks up in North Jersey, Connecticut, have you heard of hosta called funkia? Do you have any funkia?
No.
I don't know. You've told me you've got some moves.
Yeah, that I do have.
But funkia, it's like somebody down south by us.
Right.
What the heck's a funkia? And then those of you that want to be correct and call liriope and liriope, it's like, do you have any liriope?
What's that?
Clematis.
Clematis. Right.
Is clematis.
Right.
So we love it when it's like, I want that thing that flowers and it grows up a wall and it has like a really, sometimes they're pink and sometimes they're different colors. My grandmother had this thing. It bloomed yellow and we love the enthusiasm for that.
Really?
But if you want to get in the horticultural fight, we're ready. We can speak Latin when it comes to plants. I can't spell it. But in any case,
that's right.
We can pretty much say it. But again, I think it's an important topic. If there's a word or something that's said, I want to make just a list. And I'd love our callers or listeners to call in and say, when you talk about this, or I can never understand this, I'd love to hear what you have to say about jargon in the garden center.
Jargon in the garden.
All right. We'll be back in the garden right after this. Hi, this is Len Schroeder from Bloomers in the Garden. Do you have a landscape, garden, or plant question? If so, call or text us using the Bloomers in the Garden hotline. Dial 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. Don't be shy. We want to hear from you. Call or text us and let us know what problems you're facing. Let us know how we're doing. Call or text 609-685-1880. If we use your comment on the air, we'll send you a free Bloomers t-shirt. Call or text us at 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. And we'll see you in the garden. Do you think you have insects eating away your nice, beautiful lawn? Fertilum's Bug Blaster Plus Above and Below is the product for you. Fertilum's Bug Blaster Plus Above and Below not only controls chinch bugs, which is a surface-feeding insect, but also controls grubs, which is a subsurface feeding insect. It does it all, guaranteed. When most homeowners see their lawn turning brown in the summer, they think grubs. Damage from the larva, a Japanese beetle. But in many cases, it could be chinch bugs. Chinch bugs are hard to see because they are so small and you'd need to get down on your hands and knees to see them. If you misdiagnose your problem, Fertilum's Bug Blaster Plus Above and Below has you covered. The product will control both chinch bugs and grubs. This summer, control your pest problems with Fertilome's Bug Blaster Plus Above and Below. It also may be used in flower beds, on landscape ornamentals, trees, and shrubs. Fertilome's Bug Blaster Plus Above and Below will also control crane fly larvae, ants, mole crickets, sod webworms, billbugs, and many more. Your property will be pest-free with Fertilome's Bug Blaster Plus Above and Below. So next time you're visiting your favorite garden center, ask for Fertilome's Bug Blaster Plus Above and Below and expect to have the best-looking lawn and landscape in the neighborhood.
Is she gone?
Nope, she's still standing there.
What is she doing?
I think she's watching the grass grow.
That's our job.
I know, right? She's watching the grass grow, the flowers grow. Ooh, look, the trees are growing.
Can't say as I blame her. Remember where she bought all this stuff.
Duh, bought us there too.
Bloomers Home and Garden Center. Find us online at bloomers.com.
You're listening to Bloomers in the Garden Radio. Listen anytime through your favorite podcast provider or hear us on the radio each weekend. Every Saturday morning, Bloomers in the Garden Radio is heard in Philadelphia and throughout the whole Delaware Valley, first at 8 a.m. on Talk 860 WWDB, and again at 9 a.m. on AM 800 WTMR. On Sunday at 8 a.m., we can be heard through the New York tri-state area on Classic Oldies, 1250 a.m. WMTR. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the garden. Welcome back to Bloomers in the Garden. Hey, Elaine called the Bloomers in the Garden hotline and has a problem growing grass in her backyard yard. She also wants to get rid of 2 insect pests. One's a beneficial and one not so much. Here, listen to her call.
Good evening. First-time caller, but not a first-time listener. Hope everyone's fine. And I would want to ask a question regarding the back of my home. I'm having a hard time with grass growing in the back, like your patio you have in the back. And when I come out to clean up and everything, it's either ants I have to deal with, ant house, or either worms. So I'm trying to get rid of them. What can I use to get rid of worms and ants in the back of my home? And what is the best thing to place down to get your grass to grow on the side of your home? Have a good weekend. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Elaine.
Thank you, Elaine.
We tried to get a hold of her. We did not.
Yeah.
She did not pick up.
Pick it up.
Look, first of all, worms, leave them alone. You want them. They are taking organic matter and making it in your soil. They're creating earthworm castings. You do not want to kill worms. Ants, on the other hand, that's something that we all kind of battle. We don't want them in our house. We don't want them eating our wood. We don't want them eating the sugar that you spill when you put it in your coffee.
That's right.
Like self-confession. Anyway.
Yeah.
And where ants is pretty easy. You're going to want to use any product that has a Thrin in it, and it's listed for ants. That again, it's going to be a control. Normally, you'd use a granule outside, but you can also use a spray. More than likely, what you're maybe seeing little ant hills.
That's it.
And I would use a granule inside the house. We've talked about the ant baits. Okay,
Taro.
Right. And that again, that works best. But your worms, leave them alone. Back in side yards, when you have problems growing grass, I have seen, I can't even give a percentage. 80% of the time, you have moss that will not allow seed to penetrate. It means your pH is off, and you need to get something to get rid of that moss. There are sprays to get rid of moss, but you still have to physically remove the moss in order to get the seed in contact with the soil. And my guess, that's what you have. So you're going to have 3 issues. 1, get rid of the moss, physically and literally by controlling it. 2, you have an issue with your pH. Your pH, you need to get your soil tested. Go to your local garden center. I think Elaine said that she had a place, but they sold mostly flowers.
That's correct. Yeah.
When we get in touch and we talk, we'll see what garden center you're talking about. We know most of the folks around. Again, we can get you in touch with somebody that can actually help you in the store. Mm-hmm. The other thing is, again, we may have shade. Yeah. If you've got shade, you have to use the right seed. You have to use a shade seed.
A good seed.
All right.
Yep.
Elaine, we're going to try to get a hold of you again. We appreciate your call.
We'll be in touch.
All right. Mm-hmm. We'll be right back right after this. Hi, this is Len Schroeder from Bloomers in the Garden. Do you have a landscape, garden, or plant question? If so, call or text us using the Bloomers in the Garden hotline. Dial 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. Don't be shy. We want to hear from you. Call or text us and let us know what problems you're facing. Let us know how we're doing. Call or text 609-685-1880. If we use your comment on the air, we'll send you a free Bloomers t-shirt. Call or text us at 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. And we'll see you in the garden.
Dreaming of a gorgeous garden? Give your azaleas, rhododendron, blueberries, and evergreens a powerful boost with their #1 acid-loving plant food, Espoma Organic Hollytone. Hollytone is a perfect blend of natural, long-lasting ingredients that nourish plants for stronger roots, faster growth, and bountiful blooms. Plus, it's easy to use and safe for people, pets, and planet. Visit Espoma.com for a retailer near you and helpful gardening tips. Espoma, a natural in the garden since 1929.
You're listening to Bloomers in the Garden Radio. Listen anytime through your favorite podcast provider or hear us on the radio each weekend. Every Saturday morning, Bloomers in the Garden Radio is heard in Philadelphia and throughout the whole Delaware Valley, first at 8 a.m. on Talk 860 WWDB and again at 9 a.m. on AM 800 WTMR. On Sunday at 8 a.m., we can be heard through the New York tri-state area on Classic Oldies, 1250 a.m. WMTR. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the garden.
Welcome back to Bloomers in the Garden. And from Madison, New Jersey, called the Bloomers in the Garden hotline and is trying to grow garlic, but they keep disappearing. Listen to her call.
Oh, hi. My name is Ann Hogue, and I'm from Madison, New Jersey. I have planted some garlic in a fenced-in area, and it seems to be disappearing. I don't know what animal is eating it or what's going on. If you have any ideas, let me know, please.
Well, we can take care of that.
Yes, we can.
You've got a vole. Voles go underground, and they eat garlic. They eat things. Again, vole begins with a V, which means
vegetable.
They eat veggies and vegetables, and they eat plants. And moles, M
for
they
meat.
Eat meat. So they eat insects and things like that. Either way, you're going to use Molmax. It contains castor oil, and it's an active ingredient it just basically gets the flight response for the mole. You're chasing them to somebody else's yard, and it works very, very well. Also, if you want to plant peppermint around your garlic, that they just can't stand peppermint. Also, maybe even consider mulching with cedar mulch, because they don't like either cedar or peppermint. Again, it's a mole. Unless somebody else, anybody who likes a lot of spaghetti, I don't know. You never know. But again, it's more than likely a vole.
Yeah.
I don't think it's rabbits. You guys have a deer issue up there, maybe, but they're not going to dig in the ground and eat them.
She's got a 4-foot fence, so they'd have to.
Oh yeah, did you talk to her?
Yeah, I talked to her a little bit, and she has a 4-foot fence, so they'd have to. Yeah,
vole.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, we'll be right back in the garden right after this.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, this is Len Schroeder from Bloomers in the Garden. Do you have a landscape, garden, or plant question? If so, call or text us using the Bloomers in the Garden hotline. Dial 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. Don't be shy. We want to hear from you. Call or text us and let us know what problems you're facing. Let us know how we're doing. Call or text 609 685-1880. If we use your comment on the air, we'll send you a free Bloomers t-shirt. Call or text us at 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. And we'll see you in the garden. You know, some of our most frequent questions revolve around organic container gardening for houseplants, annuals, and of course, vegetables. Coast of Maine's Bar Harbor Blend Organic Potting Soil is a lightweight soil mixture made with salmon, blueberry, lobster, and other composts, as well as calcium and chitin-rich lobster shells, sphagnum peat, perlite, and kelp meal. It is a great soil. And Coast of Maine's Bar Harbor Organic Potting Soil is rich in organic material, creating lush, disease-resistant plants that require less watering, less feeding. Its rich, dark brown color provides the perfect balance between water retention and drainage needed for healthy plants. Coast of Maine's Bar Harbor Blend Organic Potting Soil is available at these local retailers: Pickering Valley Feed and Farm, Exton, PA; Ashcombs Farm and Greenhouses, Mechanicsburg, PA; Sickles, Little Silver, New Jersey. Wanting to up your game in the vegetable garden? With 90 years of organic gardening experience, the Espoma Company has you covered. Espoma Organic Garden Tone is not your average garden variety fertilizer. Garden Tone is especially blended for organic vegetable gardens. Its all-natural formula contains Biotone, a blend of organic ingredients that supplies essential nutrients for strong, healthy plants and mouth-watering vegetables. Its slow-release formula provides continuous feeding. The Biotone contained in Garden Tone is a combination of organic ingredients and beneficial microbes to help roots grow deeper and faster for bigger, more bountiful harvests. Garden Tone is simple to use and safe for people, pets, and the planet. No harmful chemicals or synthetic fertilizers are ever added. You can find Garden Tone at fine garden centers. Visit espoma.com to find a retailer near you. Garden Tone from Espoma, a natural in the garden since 1929. You're listening to Bloomers in the Garden Radio. Listen anytime through your favorite podcast provider or hear us on the radio each weekend. Every Saturday morning, Bloomers in the Garden Radio is heard in Philadelphia and throughout the whole Delaware Valley, first at 8 a.m. on Talk 860 WWDB and again at 9 a.m. on AM 800 WTMR. On Sunday at 8 a.m., we can be heard through the New York tri-state area on Classic Oldies, 1250 a.m. WMTR. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the garden. Welcome back to Bloomers in the Garden. Peter called the Bloomers in the Garden hotline and was struggling growing herbs. We have some ideas about why he's having problems. Listen to his call.
I have a quick question. I'm trying to grow culinary herbs, and they don't seem to grow at all. But yet when I go to the supermarket, from the greenhouse, their greens, their basil and all is blooming, and their mint is blooming, but mine is not. I replanted them, repotted them, I have potting soil, and I put them in the sun each and every day. I water them every 3 days, and it doesn't seem to be growing. What am I doing wrong? Thank you.
So, Peter, I think you're not really doing anything quite wrong, except if you're taking the herbs from the grocery produce aisle that are rooted and trying to transplant them, they just are not going to take. Very difficult. They were grown hydroponically, and that's how they're used to growing. When you put them in soil, it's not going to grow. I tried this myself. We were out of basil, and I said, I needed basil. I ended up using basil, and then I planted what was left of the root and left enough on it that it should have grown. Didn't grow. I tried, a couple of times, and just to see what was going on at first, I tried. It didn't work. I figured I better try it again and see if it's and it is again because it's grown hydroponically. It's artificially lit. It's all those things that you see that they look like a factory. The other thing is just buy the plants from your local independent garden center. You are going to get not only a partner in growing the plants, but you're also going to get plants that are just better, healthier, have not gone through where they've dried out on the tables and then somebody watered them real quick and they popped back up. You're going to get plants that were taken care of from basically germination to the time that you get it. Now, Julio, you talked to Peter.
Yes, I did.
And he
yes.
said that he was trying to grow seeds on his windowsill.
That's correct. And he's not getting enough sunlight there to have that. And they never come up.
They didn't come up at all.
No.
Because again, they would germinate, but then they would quickly wither and die.
That's it.
Yeah. So again, it's full sun is correct, neutral pH, and put them outside. Some things it's a little early for. I mean, we are selling basil plants now, but it's too early. I mean, I would watch the weather forecast. Anything that's below 40 degrees, you got to start getting concerned about some of those soft plants.
Yeah.
Again, any other advice, Julio?
No, I think we did well there.
Herbs are easy.
Yeah, they are.
Herbs are easy, and that you shouldn't have so much problems. So again, go to your local garden center, and that's where you buy your herb plants from.
Your quality or plants.
Excuse me?
Quality.
Yeah,
that's what we have.
Yeah, and that it's just a different plant.
Yes.
It's grown to be grown in where you can basically harvest continually throughout the season, not just whack it off and then, all of a sudden I have nothing left. I got to replant my plant, So again, you just are continually harvesting it. And that the root is the stronger, it's different. And again, it's because it's not relying on spraying fertilizer on the roots and having it sprayed with water. That's what's happened in those where the way they grow those other things. We were at a plant show, and they were talking. It was a gentleman from Holland, and they were talking about having these things about the size of a refrigerator,
right?
And that they were going to be herbs were growing in this closed box the size of a refrigerator at the grocery stores, and then they would restock the shelves from these refrigerator things. And it was all hydroponically done. It was like basically they plug and play. They plug it in, it had the lights on, it had the circulating water, and then they would just go and they would put it in. So I thought that was pretty amazing.
Yeah, it was.
But they're not going to grow in the garden.
No, they're not.
Anyway, all right. Anybody has questions about herbs, call the hotline. We'll be back right after this. Hi, this is Len Schroeder from Bloomers in the Garden. Do you have a landscape, garden, or plant question? If so, call or text us using the Bloomers in the Garden hotline. Dial 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. Don't be shy. We want to hear from you. Call or text us and let us know what problems you're facing. Let us know how we're doing. Call or text 609-685-1880. If we use your comment on the air, we'll send you a free Bloomers t-shirt. Call or text us at 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. And we'll see you in the garden.
Is she gone?
Nope, she's still standing there.
What is she doing?
I think she's watching the grass grow.
That's our job.
I know, right? She's watching the grass grow, the flowers grow. Ooh, look, the trees are growing.
Can't say as I blame her. Remember where she bought all this stuff?
Duh, bought us there too.
Bloomers Home and Garden Center. Find us online at bloomers.com.
Me and Julio.
Yes, yeah.
I tell you, the jargon section.
Yes. Oh, brother.
Our listeners out there, we have apologized over and over for some times when you get hit with these phrases that,
What is it?
we want all of Bloomer's customers and our listeners to understand that we don't want you to feel weird because you don't know these things. We do it every day.
Yeah,
so we know it. We want you to, and every garden center owner that I know, they want people to come in. They don't want to be intimidated or feel like they're stupid.
That's right.
And that sometimes I come into spring and, we just went through the winter, went through Christmas, and my mind still is like, we have Douglas fir, Fraser fir. We need to figure out what ornaments we need for next year. And then all of a sudden our first shipment of plants come in and I'm like, what what's that name? That name is it's
Let me see.
Len Rose.
Yeah, that's it.
And we forget the names of stuff. Please don't be intimidated by any of that jargon. Just trying to give you guys a primer. And if you, again, I want to hear from you. Call the hotline and tell us what is the most confusing word, jargon, what have you. We want to hear what your responses are. All right, we're going to be right back here at the same time next week, right here in the garden.
We'll see you in the garden.